Stop Jailing 10-Year-Olds, Indigenous Boy addresses UN on Australia's youth detention laws.
Here's a summary of the article.
12-year-old Indigenous boy Dujuan Husin has appealed to members of the United Nations Human Rights Council to help bring to an end the jailing of 10-year-old children in Australia. Dujuan said Indigenous-led education and an emphasis on retaining Indigenous languages are key to keeping Indigenous youth out of jail. His journey is featured in the documentary In My Blood It Runs, which examines how Australia's education system struggles to take account of Indigenous history and learning. All states and territories in Australia have laws that allow the incarceration of 10-year-old children. Of the nearly 600 children incarcerated in Australia each year, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander kids are over-represented. Close to 100% of the youths in jail in the Northern Territory are Indigenous Australians. These groups argue the age of criminal responsibility in Australia needs to be brought into line with international standards and law.
This post received a score of 8,482, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
What's their parental support like?
Well, it's pretty piss poor, but whenever the government wants to take someone's kid away they start screeching about new stolen generation or something, so a lot of kids end up in very broken homes. Drugs, alcohol and domestic violence are massive problems, as is long-term housing and employment, particularly in the bush. A lot of factors play into this, like the fact that there's not a lot of employment opportunities in the outback, particularly if you get away from the tourist route. So generally there's not really a lot to be done without pissing off someone for something.
What are ATAR points?
Australian Tertiary Admission Ranking. Our end of high school exams for university entry.
Unfortunately he had a few of his cousins and nephews working with us too, and these guys were trouble. The farms were huge and to get around we had to drive from place to place. Another time a group of us backpackers went out to a local river where we could swim. It started softly enough and we were able to ignore it, but as time and booze went on things started to get violent and girls probably 8 to 10 started trying to pick fights and throwing rocks.
I don't think that is an isolated story either. When I was there, study abroad, all the Australians warned us to stay away from the Aborigines. We asked one guy about it and he was like, if I'm out at night and there's a group of Aborigines one side of the street and a group of guys with sticks on the other side, I'm walking on the side with the guys with bats. They might beat me up, but the Aborigines would definitely beat me. OBV as an outsider it looks really bad and completely racist on the surface, but when everyone is saying the same type of thing it's hard to know what to think.
Stopped on the outskirts of a town called Wilcannia once, part of a military convoy of 60-ish people. Within an hour we had the locals snooping around, driving laps around our camp and shouting threats. All through the night people were trying to sneak up and nick whatever wasn't bolted down. Not many places I won't go again, but Wilcannia is top of the list.
Damn Australia, that's not a good look.
What are they being arrested for, though? Are we talking jaywalking or are we talking about going on an arson spree? Break and enter, theft, assault, yes, minor arson no doubt, vandalism, sexual assault. Usual run-of-the-mill stuff for 10-year-olds.
This must happen in tandem with increased support for families and young people from the youth justice system. Are Indigenous people overrepresented in UV or prison? Yes. A quote from the Australian Law Reform Commission, however, in 2016, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were 12.5 times more likely to be in prison than non-Indigenous people, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women were 21.2 times more likely to be in prison than non-Indigenous women. Do some juvenile facilities have a bad reputation? Yes. In summary, change the age of criminal responsibility to 12 if the government is willing and able to effectively support young people, their families and their communities in stopping criminal behaviour.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.